Okay, we'd like to welcome you back to our current event and weekly Bible study for 8/31/08, August 31st, 08. And in this session, we're going to be talking about the subject of yoga and the particular subject of this being thrown around as Christian yoga, which is what we're going to find is actually rooted in Hindu occultism. This first little article I'm going to read from kind of sums things up, and I think it's a good initial introductory paragraph to this study. This guy's from the Spiritual Research Network, Chris Lawson. He says, "Dear reader, the following articles have been written in order to convey information about the unbiblical practice of Christian yoga. Sadly, many professing Christians in the church are too undiscerning to know any better. Even Hindus recognize that Christian yoga is still Hindu." And we're going to talk about that later. "These articles are also written with heartfelt grief and concern for those whom I have lovingly warned about the dangers of yoga, but who have rejected biblical counsel, pastoral exhortation, and brotherly advice, and the testimonies of destroyed lives, written warnings from the yogis of the dangers involved with yoga, etc. The past year I have received several emails from people whose lives have become dismantled due to the practice of yoga. Others, thinking they know better, have laughed at me and said that I don't know what I'm talking about. Some of them have even gone so far as to ignorantly state that Hatha yoga is just exercise and it cannot harm anyone. Remember, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. These reports are meant to serve up as a wake-up call and warning to all those who profess to be Christian and yet find themselves stretching out in worship through the yogic poses and the breathing control techniques. If any professing Christian can still justify doing yoga after hearing this report and the forthcoming articles, they might want to think twice about which Jesus they actually worship. Is it the Jesus of the Bible? Because he would never endorse any kind of yoga, as you will see. Yoga in any way, shape, or form has the ability to corrupt the mind and undo a Christian's faith. It has as its goal the conversion of the individual into the occult. And again, this is the whole premise as to why I'm doing these teachings on martial arts, acupuncture, yoga, because ultimately, what is Satan's goal behind all of this stuff? It's that. It's to corrupt the mind and undo a Christian's faith, conversion of the individual into the occult in a pantheistic worldview. As we shall see, Christian yoga, like all yoga, is part of the occult-based Hindu religion. Relabeling yoga for undiscerning Westerners doesn't change the fact. I can't even stand the term Christian yoga. Do you know that I've actually seen reports now where they've come out with this thing termed as Christian pornography? I've actually seen they've actually got Christian pornography movies that have been made. I reported on this a long time ago on one of my email lists. Well, when you say Christian yoga, I kind of think along the same lines as Christian pornography. It's two words that do not belong together, that have nothing to do with one another. And you can try to candy coat the veneer all you want, but it doesn't change the fact that it's evil. Now, this is a subject that I have, again, a lot of experience with, as my mom has participated in this ever since I've been a small child. So I've grown up in a household that actively promoted yoga. My mom even got this one lady so involved that she started her own studio and now has traveled all over the world, going to all of the masters and to all the various parts of the world, India, China, Japan, and now, you know, she's got all these certifications and degrees and these types of things, and you can't even talk to her. She's so far out there. Because of all the demonic infestation that she has, yet she doesn't see it. She's also a strict vegetarian. She looks incredibly unhealthy, and yet supposedly she has it so together because she's in all these, she's certified in all these yogic and New Age healing techniques. And my mom was really responsible for getting her involved in all that, and she's proud of that. You know, she's proud of that, but it's like, you know, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. My mom, I'm not saying she's doing it because she's wanting to overtly be evil. She thinks what she's doing is a good thing. She thinks that it's exercise and meditation and a stress relief and these types, all the classic examples that you hear. Now, my mom's unsaved, and so is my dad, so they don't have any type of Christian mindset to be able to judge these particular issues. But, you know, ever since I've been a little kid, that's what I've known. She bought me, you know, yoga books, tried to get me involved, and I did, to a certain extent, a little bit of this stuff. You know, it's just I have a lot of experience with this. This next report starts off by saying across the Western world, professing Christians are participating in New Age practices such as contemplative spirituality, labyrinth, and yoga. Now, the labyrinth, that's a little bit of a complex subject, but there's all type of these New Age, what they call contemplative Christianity, that they're talking about infiltrating the churches through things like Rick Warren and the Purpose-Driven Life and a lot of the different authors that are being promoted by some of the big wigs in the pseudo-Christian industry, like Rick Warren, Robert Schuller, and these types of things. I've talked a lot about this in the past. Probably the best Christian resource, if you want to know, if you really want to get your boat loaded on this subject, on every aspect of this New Age infiltrating the church, the contemplative Christianity, would be the website's www.lighthousetrailsresearch.com. They have a newsletter you can subscribe to. They send out about one a week, and it'll load your boat. I mean, you'll get about as much as you could want. And again, it's Lighthouse Trails Research, just spelled just like it sounds, .com, and or you could do a keyword search for Lighthouse Trails Research. And I would highly advise you, you can get on their newsletter list, and everything's free. So if we go further, these things like contemplative spirituality, labyrinth, yoga, all of which is preparing the way for something much more darker and sinister. It's paving the way for the Antichrist and the one world religion to rise. This is the goal. Satan is trying to condition the world, and particularly the church, which is really his only threat on this earth, at least. He's trying to condition and leaven the world to such an extent where the Antichrist is ready to make his arrival, to rise to power. The history is riddled with professing Christians who, for whatever reason, turned their backs on Jesus Christ, became apostates, and worked overtime to destroy Christianity. So a lot of people that have got into these things at one time were self-professed Christians. They get into this stuff like yoga, contemplative Christianity, all these other things that go along with this that we've done many reports on. And all of a sudden, they start falling away. They get a totally different view of the Bible. Because you can't serve two masters. You can't bow the knee to Baal and to Christ. You've got to choose whom this day, who you're going to serve, like Joshua did. Okay? God will always put you in a position where you're going to have to make that choice. And most people are going to, unfortunately, make it in the wrong direction. Concerned, loving parents go to great extremes to protect their children from alcohol and drugs. They teach their children at an early age to look both ways before crossing the street, don't talk to strangers. However, in many cases, these same parents fail to monitor their children before and during church-related activities, such as vacation Bible school, out-of-town retreats, church recreational programs, and because the activity is tagged as Christian and sponsored by their church, they assume everything is on the up and up. While wholesome church-related activities and programs for children do exist, forces of darkness are working overtime to deceive and victimize their kids. We're going to talk more about this later. Turning them away from the true and living God at an early age, after all, is there a better way to preserve the future of paganism than to indoctrinate the children at the earliest possible age? See, if Satan can get you when you're a little kid, all the more better. And it's a proven fact that most people get saved at an early age. So if he can corrupt you during your formative years, he's happy all the way around. And it is the fact that children who are introduced to the so-called Christian yoga stand the chance of further involvement in the future. Worst case scenario is total rejection of the one who loves them the most, Jesus Christ. So this is something we have to really watch out for. Oh, and last week we had talked about martial arts, and I had talked about this guy. This is an example of this, that had his own dojo and participated in a martial art called Kuk Sul Wan, and he was, I don't know, whatever degree black belt, had his own dojo locally, and he had come into the local independent fundamental Baptist church and said, I want to do this class, and we're going to teach karate or whatever he teaches, martial arts. And one of the ladies called me and was complaining. She said, this doesn't seem right. My kid's coming home telling me they're doing meditative exercises, they're doing breathing exercises. I said, I said, number one, there's no place for this in the church. And number two, what you're describing are New Age meditation